Good day, good people. Relevant Thoughts blog is here. I'm your guy, Lewis to the T, and I just had to come to you with this conversation. I was just listening to someone do an interview, and the person being interviewed, when answering the question, "Who are you?" Or "How would you describe yourself?" He said that that was a very layered conversation for him, and that it would take more time than they had. And they kind of laughed it off, and he went on to say. That what he meant by that was he had to discover who he was apart from what he had been taught and the performance of who he wanted people to think he was. And that really struck me. I'm going to say that again. He said that he had to figure out who he was apart from what he had been taught. Um, and apart from the performative aspects of who he wanted people to believe he was. Now, I know I said that differently, but hopefully you get the gist of it. And it really hit me because what he was basically saying was, as an adult, as I believe he is almost 40 now, as a person who's almost 40 years old, that he really had to sit back and think about what parts of his personality, what parts of the way in which he interacts with the world was authentically and organically him, and what parts were just things that he was used to. I was taught this way, I was raised this way, everybody around me acts this way, speaks this way. What parts of that did he hold on to but did not feel comfortable with? As well as, the mask that many of us wear, or the idea of who we want people to think we are, how much of that needed to be shed so that he could share his authentic and true self. So I just heard that and I was like, wow, between performance and indoctrination, because not everything is education, some things are indoctrination. Um, when people decide to press upon you a way of doing a thing just because it serves their purpose or it makes them feel better about who you will be as an individual. And it's not always some nefarious act. It could be very much an act of care or concern about what your future will look like. Oftentimes we think of indoctrination, we think of religion, and that's definitely part of it. But certain aspects of our culture, you can be indoctrinated. You can be taught something is, correct or right based on what a group of people think. And then as you grow and you change and you learn and you interact with more people in the world, you realize, no, that's a preference. That's an idea that's comfortable for us. That's not necessarily a right or a wrong. That's just a way. And so as we grow and we learn and we change, I think that it's really important that we do what this young man was talking about. I've definitely done it over the years. I think it's an ongoing process. I do think there's a place in time where you are very comfortable with who you are. You're very certain who that is, and you're very sure of yourself. I feel like I'm in that place. But things will happen in life that, new things will happen that you've never encountered before, and they'll challenge your personality. They'll challenge who you are mentally and emotionally. And then you have to decide again, what is my organic, natural response? Does that response serve me? Is it something that I'm in alignment with? Am I reverting back to old ways? Am I doing what people would expect me to do, or am I really acting in response to what is happening as my natural, true self? So it sounds really complicated. I don't think it really is. Some of these conversations would be great to have panels and round tables and groups, but I do want just to put that little tidbit out there in regard to who we are. Who do you say you are today, and how has that changed? Is that something you have to grow into? Did you have to do what this young man did and strip down some things that no longer served you, or some things that you just don't believe in anymore? What does your life look like post indoctrination or education, post performance? Who are you really when no one's looking? Who are you when everybody's paying attention, and do those two people align? This is Relevant Thoughts blog for the day. Think about it.